Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Today we are talking about handling your leopard gecko. One of the best parts of caring for any animal is physically interacting with them. It helps you develop a strong bond with them, and especially with leopard geckos, who due to their small stature and sometimes unusual behaviour, it can be really funny. However, it can also cause a lot of anxiety. Their size does make them seem more fragile, and they can be really quick. They'll just dart away, and that can make you feel like you've done something wrong. But more than likely, you haven't. They are animals, and no matter how long you've spent with them, never mind how close you feel to them, no one can read their minds. And when I first got Chusi, the leopard gecko you're seeing on the screen now, I felt very confused with how to handle her and what I should be doing. So for those that were in a similar position to myself, I've thought about some tips and tricks that over the years I've implemented when handling Chusi that might help you with your leopard gecko. In the video, we'll discuss these following topics: some basic ideas, how to pick up your leopard gecko, observing their behaviour, building trust, and finally, not to take it personally. So, before handling your gecko, here are some basic tips. Wash your hands before and after handling your gecko. Try to avoid sudden movements. Obviously, if your gecko starts bolting away on the floor, or even off your hand, you might need to be a little faster to stop them from going on an adventure, but you don't need to strike out. Don't be too loud around them. They can be easily spooked and might just dart away. Warm hands. I've noticed when handling Chusi, if I have warm hands, she'll more than likely settle a lot faster than when I have cold hands. So I just try and time my attempts of handling her for myself when I'm a little warmer. I try to avoid doing it after I've just come back from outside. And finally, be patient. You might want to rush into handling them as soon as possible. It can be really exciting looking after a leopard gecko. The calmer you are, the calmer you'll help them be. So how do you pick up a leopard gecko? Well, to start with, make sure that they know that you're there. It might sound daft, but if they're out in the vivarium and they're fast asleep basking under their heat lamp, picking them up is not going to make them very happy. You might want to spend some time with them, but are they ready to spend time with you in that moment? You can make sure that they know that you're around by following a few different steps. Make a sound or a call that they'll recognise that it's you. Obviously you can just say their name, but perhaps you can also make a clicking sound with your mouth. One of the best times to do this is when feeding. Slowly over time they'll recognise that sound with food, and then food with you, which is only a positive thing for reptiles. So now that your leopard gecko knows that you're there, how do you actually pick them up? Well, never squeeze them on the spine or belly, and try to avoid picking them up directly from above. Just gently put your hand underneath them and scoop. You'll know pretty quickly if your leopard gecko wants to be held after that. Don't be alarmed if they run over your hands like a treadmill for a few seconds. Chusi might do this for some time, but she'll soon settle down. If, however, they don't slow down, or even they speed up, they probably don't want to be held in that moment. I found it a lot easier when picking Chusi up to go from an angle where she can see my hand directly so that I don't startle her. Before you go to scoop, and after you've made them aware, try to see if they're up for being handled. Here are a few things to look for. To know if they're not in the mood, see if they seem tired or lethargic. If they're skittish or darting away, probably not the right time. Or if their tail is waving, definitely leave them alone. It can mean that they're feeling defensive or threatened, or they're actively hunting. I've noticed with Chusi that it normally means that she's hunting, but similar to a cat raising its tail when it wants to be left alone, Chusi has waved her tail and ran away. Here are some signs that they might be happy to be handled. They actively come near you with or without food incentive. They choose to be in the open, or they're already there and upon seeing you, they don't move away. If you take the time to get to know how your gecko behaves, it will benefit your ability to handle them greatly. But how can you help them build trust with yourself? Building trust. Spending time near and with your gecko is the best thing to do. Regularly sit next to the viv, doing something that you can do anywhere else in the house, but with them. Place your hand in the viv and simply do nothing. It means that they can get used to your scent, and they won't think that every time you go near them, it'll be to handle them. Feeding is the best time for positive reinforcement. The more you feed, the more they connect you with food, and eventually they'll just see you as a good thing. When they are young, they will need feeding daily. It is also the time that they will be the most cautious around you. Don't be worried if they run out, grab the food, and rush back into the hide. That's totally normal. I saw one tip online that I tried, and it really worked getting Chusi to be happy with being handled. During feeding, place your open palm in the viv, or even outside the viv where they can crawl on. And with whatever food source you may have chosen, mealworms, crickets, roaches or locusts, slowly bring it further onto your hand. The first few attempts they might be cautious of this giant hand in front of them, but keep at it. Stay still, and every feed just bring it further and further back. Eventually your gecko shouldn't mind chasing all the way up your arm. Don't take it personally. Even after you've done all those steps, you've made sure that you've spent enough time with them. You made them feel settled. You've had moments where you've handled them with no problem. They've spent a few moments or even longer just resting on your hand or crawling around your arms and shoulders. And then one day you go to handle them, and they want nothing to do with you. As soon as you go near them, they dart away. Don't take it personally. They are animals and will act oddly from time to time. It's completely normal and fine. Reptiles are amazing animals to look after, but they are not cats and dogs. So you can handle them, you can have great fun with them, but they're not there to be cuddled with all the time. Remember that when you handle them, to do it with care and be patient, and that don't keep them out for too long, because unless you're living in a hot country, you really don't want them to get cold. I've been quite fortunate with Chusi, as she's not really had any issues with being handled from day one. It didn't take her that long to learn to trust me. But if your reptile, or specifically a leopard gecko, does take a little bit longer, just stick with it. Just be around the viv. Get them used to you being there without hassling them. Let them know that you're not always going to be a bother. Like I said at the start, handling a leopard gecko is one of the best parts of caring for this animal. They have such an unusual behavioural pattern, and they have so many funny expressions that you really get to notice when you're holding them. But allow them the time to develop trust with you. I just wanted to say I really appreciate the support that I've had for the video so far. Thank you for everyone that's watched and liked, and especially to those that have left comments. It's been really nice to have the feedback that I've had, and we've enjoyed some good conversations so far. If you'd like any particular ideas of what you'd like to see, perhaps there's something about looking after leopard geckos that you want to know, please put it in the comment section and let me know. I'd really appreciate that as well. One person's already suggested that I make some form of video explaining how I made Chusi's vivarium. That's something that I'm looking into at the moment. If you would like to see more gecko content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. you.